hosting, and I'm joined once again by
Montserrat Marquez.
and it is great to have you back again. We are once unfortunately going to talk about the Dodgers. It has to be it has to be done. I'm just gonna throw it to you to start off the video here. They are now in first place, half game up on the Giants. Giants have lost 3 or 4 in a row. What are you thinking now? 4 in a row. What are you thinking heading into the home stretch of the season?
I think about that video we made about 2-3 weeks ago about like you asking me whether or not I thought the Dodgers were going to make it when they were 5 games behind, if I recall correctly. And I remember saying that I trusted that they were going to get into first place, right? And I remember I don't know, you were kind of skeptical about that. And now I just laugh because it feels so good to be where we should be, honestly.
Yeah, so I guess that's going to be we'll be a little antagonistic in this video. You're just going to clown me about the Dodgers. It's okay.
Of course.
It's fine. I'll get over it. But so last night, Max Scherzer continues a 15-inning scoreless streak, throws 6 scoreless against the Braves, and he was removed for injury. Even though he's on the Dodgers, as a Nats fan, I hope he's okay. But they won, and now we are in September now, and they are up on the Giants. Giants are scuffling a little bit, and we kind of talked about this, that they don't have the roster, not depth, but the roster star power that could that it would make sense for a team as old as they are, and it's kind of a paradox, but as old and then also on the other side inexperienced with a lot of the younger guys. To kind of fall off going into the home stretch of the season. And then you got the Dodgers who, you got MVPs, Cy Young winners, all-stars that, and also made a deep postseason run last year. So they know what it's like to try to keep the foot on the gas pedal for as long as possible. So it makes sense that they're going to win the division. I think it's not necessarily set in stone. Maybe I'm trying to jinx it by saying they're definitely going to win the division. Who knows?
Let's not jinx it, please.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into it again, but they got their fake World Series last year. It's yeah. It takes a lot to understand that the Nats are the last legitimate World Series champions, and once you get there, it'll ultimately be a better place for you. So
I'm just gonna say what I tell everyone. I think you are salty because
you tell everyone. Who are you telling about this?
I mean, like, honestly, everyone that doubts the Dodgers, anyone in the world, okay. I just want to say this. I think you guys are just salty that the Dodgers were able to capitalize off a 60 World Game season, and every other team didn't.
Imagine thinking a 60-game season is on par with a 160-game season.
Oh, but a harder playoff. So tit for tat.
One more game.
Yeah,
one more game.
Still
and
harder.
also this is a complete tangent. It's okay because I gotta say it. The Nats beat the Dodgers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you recall, Howie Kendrick hit a grand slam in Game 5, and the Nats won, and then they won the World Series. It happened, and
it happened, and there's no denying it. But it also happened that the Dodgers won 2020. So it happened. Like, it's there.
Yeah, I was watching the Dodgers broadcast yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, 2020 World Series champions! Oh, we're so cool!" And I'm like, it's kind of sad the way they're just saying that all the time, but they're not acknowledging, that it's not really real. There's an asterisk there, so.
I think the only asterisk is 2017, and everyone knows it. There is no denying that the only asterisk in the last 20 years, I guess, is 2017. And the Dodgers also deserve to win that one. Look at that. So,
that's old history. That's old news. We don't need to talk about it.
So are the Nats winning. So, anyways, to this season.
To this season, the Nats called up Keibert Ruiz, their top prospect that they got from the Dodgers. He has done okay. I mean, the Nats, I'm not expecting them to win. I'm not expecting them to do well. I want to see these guys perform, though. And Ruiz has a couple hits, his first RBIs in his last game against the Phillies. They, of course, lost those games because, that's just how it is. Yes. And Josiah Gray has been very solid since coming up. He had a rough start against the Phillies. I think he gave up 4 or 5 runs. in 4 innings. But overall, he's been good, and development wise is what you want to see as a Nats fan. And cool news, the Blue Jays DFA'd Brad Hand, who the Nats traded away for catching prospect Riley Adams, who's been raking for the Nats. So, some of the deals have started to pay off for them, which is good. So the future is looking pretty bright. And I think maybe not contending next year, but, the year after will be more exciting. And, it's after the gut punch, like I said, of the trade deadline, seeing Trey Turner and Max Scherzer go, and then also the rest of their entire team. It's good to see some positives that they get back. And I mean, Lane Thomas has been ridiculous. He was acquired in the John Lester trade, and Riley Adams, Josiah Gray, and Kiwi Ruiz has a chance to make himself a household name for Nats fans down the stretch, which I hope is what's going to happen. So
I think it's important for the Nats to rebuild this year and next year, really, right? Because you don't want to be, no one wants to be the Cubs, right? That unfortunate over 100-year drought, right, from the World Series. You don't want to be the Cubs. And I feel like it's important for the Nats to focus on rebuilding this year and next year in order to be a contenders, maybe 2023 or probably after.
Maybe 2023. After.
I doubt it, but
Yeah, I mean, so I asked you this a couple weeks ago. I'm interested to see. We talked about this when the Dodgers were back, but that was right after the trade deadline. Now we're in September, and the Dodgers clearly have a ridiculous roster. Mookie Betts has come back and has been raking. Kershaw is on his way back, I believe. Mid-September, maybe
more or less.
And so, what it is a deep? I'll just ask like this: is anything other than a World Series just a lost season for the Dodgers at this point?
I think so. I think the Dodgers were really I think everyone was really disappointed in the Dodgers by the fact that they were behind in the NL West race, right? And I feel like it was really disappointing. But now that they're in first, I think they have eyes on the prize, which is the World Series, right? Because again, everyone, I know you say it as a joke, and I know you say the asterisk thing as a joke, but they did end up winning 2020, right? And I feel like it's more of
I can admit that. Yeah.
And I think now it's just the 2P kind of thing, and just proving that it wasn't only the 60-game season that made them win, but actually their roster, their pitching, right? It's just they have been very consistent these past 9 years, right? Since they've been winning the NL West. It's just a matter of winning the World Series and I guess not getting cheated out of it. And I just think the Dodgers have so much potential to win the World Series, and they're really the favorites. We were talking before this recording, right? How you thought the Padres were going to be the World Series contenders for the National League, but really I think you're the only exception. You didn't really think at that moment when you said that. Everyone saw the Dodgers as the favorites. And so I think the Dodgers really have to win this year, because if not, it's just going to be rubbed in their faces as 2017 did, 2018, 2019, right? It just has to be a World Series or nothing this year.
Yeah, and for the Dodgers, I mean, as a Nats fan, seeing Trey and Max go there, that would soften the blow of a Dodgers World Series win a little bit, because Trey and Max are among the favorite players of Nats fans, so that would be okay. And to your point, there's always going to be people like me who are oh, it was a fluke, and if they don't win this year, it's oh, the Dodgers can only win in the fluke season, and I think that's exactly what I told you when they won the World Series. But there's always going to be people like that who are going to go with that narrative if the Dodgers can't secure it this year.
And it's always going to be that way, right? It might not be for the 60-game season, but right, the money issues, right? It's always going to be doubters. I think I've criticized a lot the Yankees, right, for buying literally every single player that there is, right? How in the trade deadline they bought Rizzo and they bought a bunch of players. It's insane, and it's always going to be, there's always going to be a criticism, right? But I feel winning is at least going to be a way of we have all of this money, but at least we won with that money, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah, I think like I agree with you. There's always going to be people haters. It's just a matter of proving them wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this in our last video. The Padres, their roster, they live for those big games. And this Dodger series that was a week ago, those were those big games for the Padres, and we were talking about like it's not necessarily them trying to get the division, but play spoiler for the Dodgers, and they just didn't. They got swept by the Dodgers, 3-game sweep, and there was one 16-inning thriller, and then Max Scherzer in the next game threw 7 2/3 scoreless, 10 Ks, and really, and they really, I mean, they didn't really need to cement themselves any further above the Padres, but the Padres really cemented themselves as, it's. I don't want to say it's a lost season because they have the wild card. They're only a half game back, but they're going to have to go through an NL West team at some point. It's either be it the Giants in the wild card or even in the next series, assuming the Dodgers win the division series. So, and they have this tough schedule. So I think the Reds are probably going to take that second wild card spot.
I think I don't want to say, because at the end of the day, they're second place, right? You can't compete against the Brewers or Atlanta that are first, right? But they're definitely, I think, a more confident team than the Padres. I think like if you would have told us June that the Padres were going to be not very confident, right? In September, we would have probably laughed at you, right? The swag chain and all that stuff. They were really building off that confidence, and it was showing with the amounts of wins, like how they were really still in the race to win the NL West. But now they're just not confident, right? They're just faltering against teams that they shouldn't really falter against, that they should give a little bit more competition. Like you said, there was one 16-inning like thriller, but that was about like it when it came to really like competition towards the Dodgers, right? And I guess like you mentioned this a video ago, right? Like the Padres have easily the hardest schedule this September, and it's going to be really hard for them to capitalize off these great teams if they don't at least get a little bit more of their confidence back.
Yeah, we were talking, maybe this team is built to play against the good teams and to prove everyone wrong, as they have been kind of losing a lot in the past month at this point. But it's just, I don't think it's going to happen for them. I mean, they had their chance, and the Dodgers are a special case. They're clearly the most powerful team in the National League, but the Brewers are up there too. They got to play 3 against the Brewers. They got to play like 10 more against the Giants. So like, it's just not looking good. And I mentioned this last video. Maybe you want to just look for next year and try to save. You got one of the best players in the league in Tatis, and you got Clevenger, Lamet, Darvish, Musgrove, and Snell. And Snell has actually, I mean, he clearly watches our videos. He saw us dragging him a little bit, and he was like, "All right, let's get it going a little bit." And it does correlate with the Padres firing or releasing their pitching coach, Rothschild. And Snell he had like a no-hitter through 7 innings in his past start. And again, in the 16-inning game, he actually threw 120 pitches. I think it was scoreless through 7 innings against the Dodgers. Yeah. And, we all saw how that game ended. But so there is a lot of talent on the roster. Things just didn't work out for this season.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate, right? We all wanted to see the Padres at least have a little fun. It gave a little bit of spark to baseball, right? And I think we talked about it, right? I think it's the same thing as Ohtani, right? Like they're in teams that have this like sort of potential to do something, but they can't depend on just one player or one pitcher, right? They really have to be, and that's what we thought the Padres were, right? This whole team, right? And they weren't, right? Like Darvish started out the season really, really well, and he suddenly has a 4.05 ERA after yesterday's game. He's 7.9, right? Wins, losses. It's just unfortunate to see them not be the team that everyone expected. And I feel like they sort of felt the pressure at some point during the season, I guess.
Yeah, definitely for the Padres, it's been a rough go, especially in that division. I don't think anyone expected the Giants to be as good as they were. So Padres probably expected to battle for first with the Dodgers, and then probably, and it was them and the Dodgers, in the wild card for a while, and then obviously the Giants fell off a little bit. And so just a couple of quick hits here. The O's, after their we talked about their comical losing streak, and that we didn't see them winning a game. What cures all ills is a series against the Angels, and the O's win the series against the Angels. They beat the Angels 10-6 and 13-1, which is just ridiculous. So they clearly watch our videos too.
Definitely. Go Orioles. Go, if you watch them, go Orioles.
Yeah,
go get them.
If you're watching, I mean, you're welcome. We were just trying to get you over the hump and
exactly.
Win a couple games.
We were trying to motivate you. That's what we were doing.
Yeah, exactly. And for the Angels, it just sucks. It does.
It does.
Yeah, losing the series to the Orioles, a team that had lost 18 games in a row, that hurts. You're not going to come back from that, and this season is a lost season for them, definitely.
Oh yeah, 100%. Speaking about the AL, who do you think is going to take the AL pennant, I guess, at the end of the playoffs?
So I don't want to say the Astros, so I'm not. I'm just not going to say.
Thank you.
I'm going to say the White Sox. I'm going to put the White Sox above teams like the Yankees and the Rays because I think their bullpen is the strongest in the league, and it's interesting. Craig Kimbrell, since being acquired in the Cubs trade, they have Liam Hendricks, who we talked about him, one of the better closers in the league, an all-star. And when Kimbrell is put in non-safe situations, his ERA is like 4 something. And when he's put in safe situations, it's under 1. And so they're going to have to figure out a way to, a simple solution would be to just put him in safe situations and make Liam Hendricks your setup man. But maybe Hendricks has the same kind of mental block when it comes to pitching in non-closer situations. And this happened with the Nats. Drew Storen was one of their better closers, and then they acquired Jonathan Papelbon a couple of years ago, and then Storen in the 8th and 7th innings, when he would come in, would just be really bad. It's a mental block for some closers. That's just how it is. But I think
it's sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think the depth in the bullpen and then in the rotation for the White Sox was Cease, Rodon, Lance Lynn, and Lucas Giolito. They have a couple injuries, but they have a solid lead on this division, and so they could try to rest up for the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like now at this point, everyone in the American League, right? Like, of course, anything can happen, but at this point in the season, I think it's fair to say that both like the Astros, Tampa Bay, and the White Sox are winning their divisions, right? And so I feel like I agree with you. I want to see the White Sox get far in the playoffs, right? And potentially be in the World Series, right? At the end, maybe not win, of course, but definitely.
No, I mean, I'd be okay if they win. It'll be fun.
And I feel like it's just going to be fun to watch the American League, right? Seeing the Yankees probably play the wild card, right? I don't actually know who they're going to play the wild card against.
As of now, I believe it is Yankees Red Sox in the wild card, which will be a very fun game.
That will be definitely. I feel like the American League is it's going to be a fun playoff for the American League. And I agree. Imagine having the dilemma of too many closers, right? Like, as a Dodger fan, I could never. But it's impressive to see the depth of the Chicago White Sox, right? A team that maybe a lot of people didn't think could get very far a couple of years ago, but now have really showed what those rebuilding years were really for, right?
Yeah, and for the AL wildcard, I mean, Yankees Red Sox is as good as it gets. I'm hoping the Red Sox make the playoffs so I can go to a couple of games in Boston. So for the White Sox, I mean, they have like I said, they have a lock on this division. The Indians are falling off. The Tigers, they're clearly a couple years away from being true contenders, and it's tough to see. Like, you look at the run differentials of the 3 division leaders, and the Tampa Bay is run differential of plus 170, Houston plus 172, Chicago 144, and then the wild card teams, the Yankees are plus 52 and Boston is plus 56. So these teams are clearly above the rest of the pack. And like you said, it's probably set of how the divisions are gonna stack up. The Rays are playing ridiculous baseball. They're 9-1 in their past 10, and so I think the White Sox they have the most fun roster, I think, in the AL. The young guys, Tim Anderson, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and then Jose Abreu. He thinks of himself as like the dad of the clubhouse. And then Tony La Russa he's there just being a boomer about everything. But they're winning games, so you can't really say anything about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be fun. That's all I have to say about the American League.
Yeah, and so you said it would be unfortunate if the White Sox win. I think it would be great, especially if they win against the Dodgers. That would be just a fun time for everyone.
No. I refuse to see that as great. I still feel, regardless of my bias, I think the Dodgers are the stronger team out of the MLB. So I think, like, statistically speaking, at least, they have 2 Cy Young contenders, right? They have Muncy that has just been hitting home runs like crazy, right? They have great catchers. They have great first baseman Mookie, right? They just have a great team, and I feel like it just doesn't compare. Sorry.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Their rosters is clearly a step above everyone, and I mean, you're talking about like great catchers. Austin Barnes hit a homer yesterday, and they got Will Smith back there too, who's been solid this year. And so we're gonna wrap up here. We'll get to the Mets in our next video. Definitely, that's gonna be a fun controversy in quotes to talk about. But for M2M Baseball, my name is Khalin Kapoor. I was hosting, joined by
Montserrat Marquez.
Thank you all for watching. Have a good one, everyone.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel, the M2M Network, for more sports and entertainment content.